A very good late afternoon to everyone that's joined us today. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I am pleased to welcome you to our 2024 annual meeting. Thank you for joining us as we reflect on the progress and achievements of the past year while looking forward to the opportunities and challenges ahead. BCCOHP is governed by a 12-member board of dedicated and committed individuals, and it is my privilege to act as their chair. BCCOHP benefits from the strategic oversight of a supportive board that has a clear understanding of its role. The board includes 6 members of the public and 6 oral health professionals that oversee certified dental assistants, dental hygienists, dental technicians, dental therapists, dentists, and denturists. Regardless of what interest each board member brings, our priority is to provide oversight that is transparent and accountable to ensure that BCCOHP is well positioned to serve the public by regulating the 16,000 oral health professionals under its responsibility. Equally important is to deliver on the promise of modernized professional regulation of the oral health team. Over the past year, BCCOHP has advanced its mission of promoting safe, ethical, team-based oral health care. While much of this work is foundational, it is essential for building an innovative, fit-for-purpose organization. The work has focused on 4 strategic areas: regulatory leadership, cultural safety and humility, health equity, and anti-discrimination and modernized regulatory functions. From a board perspective, we are very pleased to see our strategic plan in action this year. In the area of regulatory leadership, we have taken meaningful steps to prepare for new governing legislation, including formalizing our regulatory approach to decision-making, advancing risk management practices, and establishing a project management office. These efforts position us to lead with confidence and clarity in an ever-evolving regulatory landscape. In alignment with our commitment to reconciliation and anti-racism, we have launched initiatives to promote cultural safety and humility. This includes establishing an Indigenous advisory circle, welcoming Katie Carson, our Director of Cultural Safety and Humility, and partnering with Indigenous knowledge keepers to guide our work. We look forward to our collective efforts to advance this work. In consideration of health equity and anti-discrimination, we continue to address inequities in oral health care. Engagement with public advisory networks and other stakeholders has informed our approach to preventing harm and discrimination in the delivery of our oral health services. To improve efficiency and better serve the public, we have made progress in modernizing our regulatory functions and unifying core regulatory systems. This includes completing the first phase of a database migration project, beginning work on a redeveloped quality assurance program, and initiating the development of modernized standards for all oral health professionals. This list just scratches the surface of the work being done, but I hope this overview paints a picture for you of our priorities and some early successes. These achievements reflect our dedication to safeguarding public trust while fostering collaboration with oral health professionals and other interested parties. Much more detail is available to you both on the BCCOHP website and in the annual report. In closing, I want to express my gratitude to my fellow board members as well as all of BCCOHP's committee members for their expertise and commitment, and also to our over 90 staff members led by our Registrar and CEO, Dr. Chris Hacker, for their dedication and hard work. Additionally, we deeply value the contributions of oral health professionals and the public whose engagement strengthens our work. Now, in our second full year post-amalgamation, we recognize the importance of learning from experience to strengthen our foundation. Our vision of reimagined oral healthcare oversight continues to guide us as we build a modern, fit-for-purpose organization. Thank you for your continued support and collaboration. It is a shared privilege to lead this organization, and we look forward to what we can achieve together in the coming year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carl. And now I invite Daniel Elliot, Stz'minus Elder, to open our meeting in a good way. Daniel?
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and just the fact that there is an outreach and reaching across the divide to include cultural practices is a testament to what the goals that you're trying to achieve with oral health. So my name is Daniel Elliot. I am a Stz'minus First Nations member. I live here in Nanaimo territory in Nanaimo, and I'm honored to come here today. There's an important time in our Earth, as in the Northern Hemisphere, when the winter solstice is upon us here a week Saturday, and it's a time for us to reflect and draw within ourselves and together and light our story fire. So I pray that this group and this meeting and this initiative will be blessed in their endeavors to bring oral health across all nations, color, creed, races, and to be inclusive in a way that is welcoming for all people. So I asked Chachasiam, the great creator, to bless and open this meeting in a good way. And each of the families that are represented here today, I pray a special blessing for all the work that you do and the families you represent, and that we can find a place to come together in a good way. And I say, Housekeeping, thank you, everybody, and I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words. OCM, honored ones, thank you.
Thank you so much for those words, Daniel, and for opening for us. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, and I'd also like to welcome you to the BC College of Oral Health Professionals annual meeting. My name is Melissa Wangal, and I will be your host for this meeting. So thank you again, Daniel and Carl, for grounding us in our commitments as a regulator. The theme of today's meeting is Framework for the Future. This past year has been transformative as we build for a framework that positions BCCOHP for a strong, adaptive future. I have a few housekeeping notes before we review our agenda and get the rest of the meeting going. So please note the following. Microphones are muted and cameras are off for attendees. We are anticipating that this meeting will run for about an hour today. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A panels to submit them. If you submitted questions in advance of this meeting, we are grateful, and we've pulled out the top themes and questions to ensure they're addressed either indirectly through the content of the meeting or directly during the question period a little bit later in the meeting. If you experience any technical difficulties during the meeting, please email communications@oralhealthbc.ca and flag your message as urgent, please. So I'm going to start by providing an overview of the agenda for the evening. We're going to start things off with a short poll. This will be followed by an address and then a report from BCCOHP CEO and Registrar, Chris Hacker. We'll then welcome Kristine del Rosario of Smythe LLP to report on the audited financials. Next, we've set aside time for questions. And finally, we'll share some closing remarks and conduct a short poll at the very end. I'd now like to invite all of our speakers to introduce themselves. We heard a little bit from Daniel. Daniel would and Carl already, but would it be okay with both of you if you introduced yourselves just a little bit? Could we start with Daniel?
Oh yes, that was yeah. I've been a commercial fisherman as my good friend here, Chris Hacker, knows. We had a really cool connection. But I gave that up, and I in 1998 became a family violence abuse counselor, and later an alcohol counselor, and over the years I've been also an artist, a watercolorist, and working on with people around reconciliation. So I painted a body of work called Truth, Art, and Reconciliation, and I became actually an author a few years back, and I'm working on some more another book here, so I'm pretty excited about that. I do some custom work. I do some consulting with the government in Victoria with reconciliation, and that's been one of my passions. And I'm happy to be here today because I recognize the the connection that didn't exist for a long time with agencies and organizations, and so it brings me terrific joy to see this is really an act of the one of the 94 recommendations on truth and reconciliation. And so I feel honored to say a few words, and that I'm a family man. I have 2 adult children, and my wife and I have been married for 41 years, and we live here in town. And I feel blessed to be working in a capacity of helping people along this journey of understanding and reconciliation. So I say hi, Sap, because thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for that, Carl. Or Daniel, sorry. And now, Carl, would you mind introducing yourself for a moment?
Anyway, I'm Carl Roy, and I've been chair of the BCCOHP board since its inception. Prior to that, I was involved with Legacy College CDSBC through the intensive change process. I'm retired, been retired since 2020, and was a 40-year serving healthcare CEO, beginning in Ontario, bigger systems in Alberta, bigger systems in Vancouver. When I retired, I was the retiring president and CEO of the Provincial Health Services Authority. So I had considerable exposure to a variety of oral health professionals, as well as many regulatory bodies in the province. I'm excited about modernization. It's the reason I'm still around. I think it's long overdue, and there will be many benefits for registrants, as well as benefits for those that we serve. So thank you, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Carl. Next up is Chris Hacker, CEO and Registrar of BCCOHP.
Melissa, thanks so much. And Daniel, you referenced that really cool connection that we found. And I think it's just the importance of doing these introductions properly. We tend to lead with our name, and hopefully we fall into knowledge of somebody else as we have a conversation. But this intentional way of starting, certainly between you and I, established a really cool connection very, very early. Melissa, thanks. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I'm a father. I'm a friend. I'm a cousin. I'm a nephew. I'm a partner. I'm an uncle. And I'm a godparent. And those connections are hugely important to me. I'm the son of uninvited white settlers from England who arrived in Vancouver via what is known as Winnipeg, and settled here and spent their entire lives that still go on, and the 3 sons that they brought into the world. I had the privilege of growing up very close to a number of Musqueam kids who taught me so much, and the privilege of knowing Chief Henry Charles on and off the rugby field, and it was a force to be reckoned until his untimely passing. So I feel privileged to have had a connection with the Indigenous community close by us as I grew up in tandem with them. As you might know, I was a dentist for over 35 years before making a transition into regulation. And I couldn't be happier with the connections and the association with ongoing modernization of regulation that Carl's referred to already.
Thanks very much for that, Chris. And now I'll invite Kristine Del Rosario of Smythe LLP to introduce herself. Kristine?
Thank you, Melissa. I'm Kristine Del Rosario. I'm born and raised in the Philippines and migrated here in Canada in late 2015. I am a senior manager at Smythe, and it's been with the firm for almost 10 years now, and I've been working in the public practice for over 15 years. I'm a mother of 2 little kids, so excited for the holiday season because we always make sure Christmas will be magical for them. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Kristine. And lastly, my name is Melissa. I'm a second-generation settler of European descent. I live, work, and play on the Coquitlam First Nation, known otherwise as Coquitlam. I have a little bit of a cold today, so I apologize for any sniffles along the way, but I'm still very excited to be here with you all. And I'd like to thank all of the speakers for sharing a bit about yourselves. So let's get started with our opening poll now. Attendees, you should see a poll pop up on your screen shortly. The question will ask a little bit about who you are. This will give us a good sense of who's in the virtual room. I'll leave you a moment to complete that. Thanks so much, everybody, for sharing a little bit about yourselves. The options were member of the public, certified dental assistant, dental hygienist, dental technician, dental therapist, dentist, denturist, other regulated health professional, media representative, and BCCOHP board, committee, or staff member. And it looks like about half of the people in the room are members of oral health professionals, and about half of us are also board, committee, and staff members. Thank you so much for participating in that. Now I'm going to hand things over to BCCOHP CEO and Registrar, Chris Hacker, to say a few words. Chris?
So much. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for you two for spending time that I know you don't have to attend our meeting today. I'm so pleased to be here today to deliver the CEO and Registrar's report at BCCOHP's second annual meeting. As Carl shared in his remarks on behalf of the board, we're deeply grateful for the dedication and engagement of everyone who has joined us on this journey. This past year has been one of growth and momentum as we continue to build a solid framework for the future of BCCOHP. In thinking about what we would like you all to take away from this meeting, the theme of role clarity kept floating to the surface. Getting crystal clear on our role and ensuring it's understood both across the organization and externally has been a huge part of our work as a new regulator. Building that understanding is not just about internal alignment. It's also about fostering trust and clarity with the people we serve and partner with. So today I'd like to share more about that with you. You've likely seen us say before that we are reimagining oral healthcare oversight in British Columbia. We've definitely heard from folks asking what we mean when we say that. So I wanted to look backwards for just a moment to set the stage. Our creation in 2022 marked a significant milestone in the modernization of oral healthcare regulation in BC. BCCOHP was born into a changing regulatory landscape. Anyone who's been following might be familiar with some of the major events that happened beginning back in 2018. But just to recap, starting with Harry Caton's report that was finished in December of 2018, the steering committee on modernization of health professional regulation, whose report in August 2020 was released, and the In Plain Sight report in November of 2020. By bringing together 4 distinct colleges into one cohesive body, we are not just streamlining processes, but also reshaping what it means to regulate oral health. We're proud to be a part of a broader movement to reimagine healthcare regulation, not just in BC, but across Canada. Collaboration and innovation are at the core of this effort. For example, we've been engaging with registrants, other audiences, and the public to understand their needs and concerns, strengthening our data systems to improve transparency and responsiveness, and taking steps to address systemic inequities and foster inclusivity in oral healthcare access. At the heart of our work is our mission to safeguard the public from harm and discrimination in oral health care. This guiding principle informs every decision we make and is rooted in our commitment to serving the public. As Carl outlined, our strategic plan serves as the blueprint for our progress. This year, we've achieved important milestones in all our strategic areas of focus, which, as Carl mentioned, include regulatory leadership, cultural safety and humility, health equity and anti-discrimination, and modernized regulatory functions. These 4 areas tell you a lot about who we are as a regulator. We try to strike the right balance between broad public interest and our authoritative role in protecting the public. We recognize that public protection goes beyond addressing harm. It also involves promoting equity, reducing barriers to care, and fostering an environment of trust between oral health professionals and patients. This distinction underpins our approach to regulation. While we maintain a firm commitment to ensuring safe practices, we're also looking at how we can be a proactive force for positive change in oral health care. There are 2 concepts that are important to us as a regulator that I want to share with you. First, principles-based regulation. We're moving away from granular oversight toward a principles-based model that emphasizes flexibility, adaptability, consistency, and a clear focus on outcomes. By focusing on the intent of the regulations rather than prescriptive rules, I think we can better support our registrants in providing safe and ethical care while ensuring the public's interests remain paramount. The second is team-based, risk-based healthcare. Modern oral healthcare is part of the broader healthcare system. Our approach emphasizes team-based and risk-based care, recognizing the collaboration among professionals leads to better health outcomes for patients. I know that concepts like these can sometimes run the risk of feeling abstract, so I want to provide a specific and concrete example. We're currently running a consultation that we have open for our draft professional standards for the oral health team. It's not only open to oral health professionals, but also the public, and any of you who have participated will have seen both of these concepts in action. Firstly, these professional standards are principles-based, which means they are written at a high level and are designed to empower oral health professionals to exercise their professional judgment. It's very intentional that the standards do not go into specific lists of do's and don'ts. As well, they're really for the entire oral health team. 1 document, 6 professions. The public who engage us in those typical delivery models of care, the dental hygienist's office, the denturist's office, the dentist's office, will know when they walk in the door that they are probably engaging with a number of different people. What they didn't know prior to amalgamation was that 3, sometimes 4 colleges oversaw that visit. We feel that by pulling back, being a single oversight regulator, creating a single set of standards will allow patients to understand that they have the same expectations of everybody on the team. This is a huge step towards delivering on our promise to be that single regulator for the entire oral healthcare team. It's important to also realize that these standards will not stand alone from our other regulatory processes, combining with a new QA program and entry to practice standards that will ensure safe care and protect patients and the public. Hopefully this example paints a picture for you of how we are putting our intentions into action. And I hope you'll see more evidence of these at play in our work in the coming year as we move forward. Our focus is to enhance public confidence in oral health care and continue building a regulatory body that is modern, effective, and fit for purpose. Our work is just beginning, but we're so proud of the progress we've made and are committed to fulfilling our mission. We've laid a strong foundation, and I'm confident we can manage what comes. Thank you all for your dedication and partnership. We couldn't protect the public without you. And whether you're an oral health professional, a member of the public, or part of our staff, board, or committee teams, your engagement is vital. Thank you for being here today and for being part of our journey. Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks so much for your words, Chris. I'd now like to introduce our auditor with Smythe LLP, Kristine Del Rosario, to report on the audited financials for the fiscal 2023-24 year.
Thank you, Melissa. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to report and present our independent auditor's report. Same as the previous year, we have issued a clean, unqualified audit opinion for the fiscal year March 31st, 2024 of the financial statements of British Columbia College of Oral Health Professionals. These financial statements are composed of Statement of Financial Position as at March 31st, 2024, Statement of Operations, Statement of Changes in Net Assets, and Statement of Cash Flows. We report that those financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position and the results of operations of the college. I just wanted to run through the other sections of our audit report as well. I know everyone's focus are on the opinion paragraph of our auditor's report. The rest of our auditor's report basically talks about the responsibilities of the management and those charged with governance, as well as our responsibility as auditors of the college. So on the paragraph for the responsibilities for management and those charged with governance, basically covers that the management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements, as well as the internal controls that they deem necessary for financial reporting, including assessment for going concern of the college. Those charged with governance, which is basically the board of directors, are the ones responsible in overseeing the financial reporting process of the college. And the last part of our audit report talks about our responsibilities as auditors, and it gives a high-level summary of the work that we've performed, our overall objective to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the consolidated financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement. The rest of the paragraph on the auditor's responsibilities talks about our risk-based audit approach, as well as a high-level description of the work performed over internal controls, estimates, significant accounting policies, going concern, as well as financial statement presentation of the college. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today, Kristine, and for providing us with that look at the last fiscal year. We're now going to move into question period. We put out a call for questions last month, and there was a strong response. So thank you to everyone who wrote to us. I want to note that a number of the questions received in advance were quite specific, and so we handled them by forwarding them to our professional practice advisory team and having them respond individually. At least 6 of the folk who submitted in advance with questions specific to their practice received personalized answers. I mention this now as an opportunity to make sure that all oral health professionals are aware of our practice advisory team. We are quite amazed to say that just this year, our practice advisors have responded to nearly 900 submissions. The easiest way to reach out to that team is to go to the contact page on our website. That's at www.oralhealthbc.ca/contact-us, and you can scroll down to complete our contact form. Reminder, just that if there's time, we may be able to get to questions that have been submitted throughout the meeting using the Q&A function. So please feel free to submit using that feature. And just know that we'll prioritize questions that are most relevant to the broadest audience, including the public. And we may not answer certain questions if they're highly specific or if they refer to private or personal information, of course. So now moving to the questions that we're going to address here at the meeting. So thank you again to everybody who submitted questions in advance for Chris to address. And where there was overlap, we tended to theme them. So for example, we received quite a number of questions from dental hygienists about the quality assurance program. So we'll move into those now, if that's okay. I'll invite Chris onto the screen, and then we'll get into some of those questions, Chris. Thanks so much. So Chris, some concerns have been raised about the fairness of the quality assurance exam, particularly as no other professional groups regulated by BCCOHP are required to write a similar examination. Can you tell us, are there plans to review the consistency of the programs across the professions?
Yeah, most. Boy, what a great question, and certainly well aware of the different feelings amongst the different oral health professions that we oversee. Um, those of you that know me will know I digress, and then I will take that opportunity again here if that's okay. But I think this story kind of begins as we amalgamated, and understanding that an amalgamation process is a difficult, arduous task, and time is the biggest enemy of it. Over 85% of corporate amalgamations and mergers fail. And so we knew time was of the essence as we began our work in 2020 to begin kind of visioning what this new organization might look like. Understanding that amalgamation, the entire project was really about landing that day one regulator, if that makes sense. When 4 legacy colleges ceased to exist at midnight and one took its place, and the importance that there be a continuity of regulation between those two entities. Really, that was the end of amalgamation. And once we sort of crash landed and caught our breath and dusted everybody off, we were able to begin to start moving forward. And we realized that be able to do that in a time frame that was manageable, we had to simply port all of the different regulatory processes over. And you'll see inconsistencies across the board, from fee schedules um, to complaints processes to all of the different standards and guidance documents that came over, and particularly to the QA programs. And we continued to stream those different programs as we moved into the new college known as BCCOHP. We're very aware that the assessment tool for hygienists within dental hygiene's quality assurance program is one of the more substantial inconsistencies of the 4 legacy colleges. And work was begun almost immediately in those early days to beginning assessing. Anyone who has done any project management will know the first step is really establishing a baseline. Where are we now? And then determining where we want to go, what the difference between those two becomes the project. Over this past year, an outside expert named Susan Glover Takahashi has done an amazing research project, which is titled "Issues, Options, and Directions" for the BCCOHP Quality Assurance Program. This was an essential foundational piece of work that really lays out where quality assurance should go, what's effective and what's not. And I think the content of this document will probably shock most of us that for the most part, most quality assurance programs are ineffective, and in that main role of assuring the public that practicing oral health professionals remain competent through their careers. So I think now that this document has landed, the board has received it and given it its approval. It will be released early in the new year for everyone to have a look at. And what this signals is for the Quality Assurance Committee to direct the Quality Assurance Working Group to begin moving forward at designing this new quality assurance program. I can say that there will be some changes coming early in the year. We're just not 100% sure where the working group is going to land, but its work has begun immediately. So I hope that gives some reassurance that we've always heard those voices that have felt that inequity, and we've recognized that in keeping with right touch regulation and its approach to decision making, that we always want to be proportionate to risk. And we always want to make sure that there's no unintended consequences of those regular processes that we undertake. And we've taken that seriously as we look very specifically at the quality assurance program.
Thanks so much for sharing a little bit about the plans there, Chris. Um, so next question is about some of the concerns and challenges that are facing practice owners with regards to shortages of dental assistants and hygienists, and combined kind of with the current government mandate as it relates to the fee guide, um, and the Canadian Dental Care Plan particularly. Are you able to share what's being done to help practice owners with some of these issues?
Yeah, I pause only because it's a complex landscape that is oral health in Canada right now. You've mentioned the National Dental Care Plan, and the worries of health human resources are problems across the board in healthcare. I think some of the biggest issues that face oral health care broadly are just the unknown. The federal government has not paid a lot of attention to oral health over the years, and suddenly now finds itself trying to catch up and determine, what is the workforce? How do we define shortages? Are there shortages? If this plan is going to generate what we think is going to be 2 or 3 million new patients across the country, who is going to look after them? Is there going to be enough capacity to absorb these patients and provide the care that they need? And in often cases, the care that has been neglected for a while. But I think the bigger question for us as a regulator, and answering this question here in this forum, is really about role clarity, and maybe using this as an opportunity to kind of look at where the authority of the college begins and ends. I mentioned role clarity in my opening remarks as well, and the importance of our own journey in terms of trying to pare down what it is we do. We regulate 6 oral health professions now, and we have to be efficient, and we have to be focused on where our authority actually lies. And we've talked about sort of trying to simplify that as best we can, not getting conflated in other profession-centric issues that I think have kind of dogged health regulation, and more specifically oral health regulation over the last 100 years or so. It really, at the end of the day, a regulator is just a series of competence measuring systems. That's what we do. The healthcare system broadly is about improving health outcomes for the residents of the jurisdiction, in this case, what we know as BC. And we are part of that health system as a regulator, but we are a very, very tiny part of that health system that helps improve those health outcomes. We are called upon to help by just simply assuring that the oral health professional, the regulated oral health professional that shows up in that treatment space is competent. And that's where our job begins and ends. To put it really simplistically, we let the right people in, we let the right people stay, and we ask the wrong people to go. And that's what all of our structure is about. And I hope that sort of simple answer we can kind of always come back to as a touchstone. And remember again where our authority lies and where our rule is. And that's not to say that we don't empathize with some of the issues, certainly within private practice, within the landscape of rural healthcare more broadly. And I think we've come to grips with the fact that the changes in legislation that we've seen are really moving away from what was once considered self-regulation by the professions. And I think there tends to be a sense that the college is moving away from the professionals that it oversees. I think where we've landed is that we could not protect the public without the work that is being done, the good work and safe work that is being done by our registrars. And therefore, the only way we are going to be able to protect patients is to support our registrants, provide very clear expectations of what safe care looks like, and provide that information for them so they understand what the patients are like as well too. So we want to make sure that the message is, while we work for the public interest and we are very limited in our authority, that we are very, very clear that we need to support best practices and safe care as well.
That's great. Thanks so much for that, Chris. Could you speak a little bit about BCCOHP's position on communication specifically with educators?
I can. I think maybe it echoes back to the answer that I've just given. Very specifically about that role we have in setting standards for entry to practice, and understanding that so many of our educators are doing an amazing job in graduating students who become excellent practitioners. I think for us, the concern we began with in September of 2022 was the myriad of educational institutions that are in existence. And I think as for legacy colleges, there tended to be fairly close relationships, and they were manageable relationships as well. But as we began to oversee 6 oral health professions, again, with many different educational facilities, it became impossible to sort of maintain those same relationships. And I think at the same time, as we pursued a regulatory approach and our understanding of our role, we sort of came to the conclusion that to be the assessor of those educational facilities, sometimes directly, sometimes through third parties, such as the Commission of Dental Accreditation of Canada, in the case of dental faculties and dental hygiene faculties and CDA educational institutions. That we can't sit both sides of that fence. We can't contribute to educational programs as content providers, as program advisors, and also sit in judgment or accreditation of the program. When we sort of move away from that professional point of view and move into a public-centric point of view, it becomes very clear that there's a lack of trustworthiness in a regulator that is there to assure that the graduates of all of the different programs are competent to begin practice, but also are complicit in the education. There's a contradiction there. I believe there's a certain conflict in there as well too. And so I think what we're doing in trying to find our space is we've moved away, moved into our role of adjudicator of the programs, again through third parties in most cases, and set those standards for entry to practice that we can be sure as we register new graduates that they are competent to practice.
Thank you so much for that, Chris. I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit to the staffing specifically at BCCOHP, and a little bit about turnover and particularly the dental hygiene staffing.
Okay. That comes out of the blue. I would say I'm assuming I'm trying to read between the lines in the question, and I'm assuming, is there an inference or an indication that there's been a high turnover of staff since the amalgamation? And secondly, is there a disproportionate number of dental hygienists within that staff turnover? I would say neither are true. Understanding that when you bring four organizations together, it's an amazingly uncertain time. And I think through any corporate mergers, whether they be for-profit or not-for-profit, members of staff teams are lost along the way, either choosing not to join the new organization or not finding a home that they had before at their legacy college. I think when you take a look at that uncertainty, it's not unusual that there'll be a combination of people choosing not to stay and others who are determined probably not to have the competencies that are required for either the same positions or new positions in that larger organization. We don't have a lot of oral health professionals relative to our staff team, and I would suggest that very few dental hygienists, if any, have been lost over the course of our evolution. Again, as the four colleges came together, I think it's fair to say that they were all of different sizes, and the Dental Hygiene College in particular was the second largest college of the two that came together. And there were probably 2 or 3 staff people that didn't come into the new college for various reasons. But beyond that, I think our turnover has been what would be expected. And I would say that when we moved into the new organization, we crossed over with about 70 staff people, and our numbers are now up over 90. So I think it's safe to say that there's been a tremendous increase in interest in being at BCCOHP and increasing the staff to meet the challenges that we have as a new regulator in a modernizing landscape as well. And I think also safe to say that I think within the staff team now, there's probably 17 or 18 staff people that have changed positions within the organization, interested in improving and evolving their skill sets and moving upwards and onwards with their careers within BCCOHP as well. We're also experiencing some of the initial staff that had left early in our days are now returning, realizing, I think, the value of being with BCCOHP.
We did get a live question that I'll read out to you in case you want to add or reiterate anything. The question is, can you eliminate the stress of the pass-fail portion of the QAP for hygienists until the next steps have been figured out?
The answer is yes. I'm not sure. I don't want to presuppose the work of the Quality Assurance Working Group. I think it's probably the best answer there. We want to make sure that our committees and working groups are working autonomously in the best way possible. I think it is fair to say early on in some of the broad discussions that there will be interim steps along the way to get to that final QA program for all of our health professions, no matter whatever it looks like. Understanding that there also needs to be ongoing IT development as well, not only to enhance the program and to support the program as it's changing, but also to eventually support that change program. So I believe that there will be some announcements early in the new year regarding what some of those transitional changes will be, moving into the potential of what we see as maybe an interim program to get us to that final stage. So I would say to that person that yes, it's absolutely a possibility, and to stay tuned, and we'll be announcing, I think, more information around that as the new year progresses. Probably, I would guess within the first 3 to 4 weeks of the new year.
Thanks for answering those questions, Chris, and for taking the time. That's all the time that we have for question period. So we're now going to have Daniel Elliot with us again to close our annual meeting in a good way.
Thank you. I just appreciated being along here for the ride. I'm actually fairly connected to oral health. My wife has been practicing CDA and OMAP since 1986, and she still is in an office. So I get kind of a secondhand of what happening on the Moccasin Trail, and I'm pleased to hear some of my friends and some of the practices that are inclusive, and how Indigenous people are drawn to offices that are really open and they feel safe in, and I think that there's been some huge advancements in that, and I'm very pleased about that, because oral health is such an important part of our existence. So I appreciate the work that you and your board and all the workers, all the dentists and hygienists that are here today. So I say, CM, thank you, honored ones, and I pray that we go in a good way. And I thank you for a chance to witness, a wonderful way that our oral health is being handled and taken care of. And I ask the blessing on all the leaders and the organizers and those that are in the front lines. I say, CM, and I ask a special blessing for this time of the year for you and your families. I say, CM, thank you, Creator, all my relations.
Thank you so much for that, Daniel. So we've covered a lot of ground this evening. Thank you all for joining us and joining us at this meeting and taking time out of your day to be with us. I'd also like to thank all of the speakers and the planning team who put in many, many hours to help plan content that's useful and informative. A recording of this meeting will be posted onto BCCOHP's website. If you can, we ask that you please stay for a few moments after the close of the meeting. We have a short exit poll that we hope you'll participate in. So this concludes the 2024 annual meeting. Thank you again and have a great evening.